And now I think it's time for us to tune into the collective numerology of September. Hello, and thank you for calling the Higher Self Hotline, your direct line to the divine. You've been led here by your inner knowing, and you've arrived right on cue. I'm your host, Zoey Greco, and together we'll make the ethereal earthly, helping you consciously embody your spiritual knowing and most authentic self. Please listen carefully to the following options. To discover how to fulfill your soul's purpose, press 1. To unlock infinite abundance in life, love, and career, press 2. To heal your mind, body, and spirit, press 3. To speak with your personal spirit guides, press 0. Please hold while we connect you to your highest timeline. As I'll be doing every month, I want to tap in to talk about the month of September through the lens of numerology. And I'm going to be honest, this is the most potent, pivotal, and spiritually alchemizing month of the year because we are about to be super uncomfortable, but at least we'll be uncomfortable together. So September is a collective month 9 inside a collective year 9, which means that this doubling down on the vibration of 9 is going to create a concentrated portal of endings, release, and radical reckoning. It's going to ask us to be brutally honest, and we will no longer be able to hide behind more soft or comforting half-truths or excuses. But before we go any further, as I like to do, I want to really clarify the energy of the number 9 itself as it presents itself in both its light and its shadow, because you'll be feeling all of it this month. In numerology, the number 9 is the last stop in the cycle of single digits. So it carries the energy of wisdom, completion, and compassion. And in its light, 9 is generous, forgiving, and deeply humanitarian. It sees the bigger picture and cares about making the world better for everyone, not just itself. So people or times influenced by 9 often bring lessons about letting go, rising above ego, stepping into service, creativity, and integrity. It's the number of the old soul who's here to share what they've learned and guide others forward. I'm actually a life path 9 myself. On the shadow side, 9 can get weighed down by its depth. It can resist the endings that it brings upon itself, causing it to cling desperately to the past or feel overwhelmed by grief and responsibility. And sometimes it gives too much and forgets its own needs and ends up falling into patterns of martyrdom or self-sacrifice or self-abandonment. And other times it may avoid pain altogether through escapism or bypassing. But this month is not about to let us bypass anything. And spoiler alert, if you do somehow, it's going to haunt and taunt you and come right back up again until it's fully faced. So we may as well just buckle down and get her done. So what does this mean for all of us? September is a holy invitation to stop. September is a holy invitation to honor the endings in your life instead of simply tolerating them. And this is where we stop seeing endings as loss and start seeing endings as thresholds into the spaces that we are dying to enter and for some reason refuse ourselves access to. Endings are moments when we are spiritually and emotionally aware that we are crossing from one state of being into another. Endings cause us to confront and observe the transition from something to something else. So usually we resist this energy because we are so attached to what is, even when we secretly and not so secretly hate it, because we would rather dance with the devil that we know than the angel that we don't. We are so uncomfortable in uncertainty that we would rather fester in something that we know damn good and well is misaligned. To me, it's like outgrowing your clothes. Every time you sit, your pants are digging into you, your shirts are cutting off your circulation in your arms, but you're daunted by the idea of going into the world and trying something new or spending money on something new, and you decide that you feel more comfortable in what you know than what is foreign and unfamiliar or what might feel unattainable. So I want to remind you, this isn't about endings for the sake of loss. It's about release in service of truth. It's about surrender in service of self. It's about choosing your most aligned life instead of clinging to your stories that keep you safe, quote unquote, in cages built by the fearful parts of you. And the energy of September makes it impossible to keep pretending that things are okay when they're not. So if you're feeling the urge to step away from something, even if it's subtle, or if you're feeling the desire to stop performing alignment where you're not really experiencing it, then you need to listen and you need to act. This double 9 portal causes us each to confront what in our lives is truly no longer aligned and where we're forcing ourselves to fit like soggy, swollen puzzle pieces that can no longer be placed where they once were. Be prepared to let go of what you've been holding and gripping out of fear that it won't be replaced. So be prepared to release with love before things grow toxic. Be prepared to admit that a square peg cannot fit in a round hole no matter how hard you try or how deeply you deny. Be prepared to confront the idea that staying in circumstances that no longer serve you is self-abandonment. Be prepared to watch illusions and excuses dissolve and to witness truth get louder and louder and louder until you can't ignore it anymore. So whether it's the death of an identity, a relationship, a business, a belief system, a version of yourself that has kept you safe, death is part of the cycle. It's not evidence that you're flawed or that you failed or that you've even made a mistake. Letting go means that you are moving on. You are fighting stagnancy and claiming momentum. Letting go means that you are growing in new directions, and that's what your soul wants deep down. Your soul wants to grow and know itself more, and keeping your essence in one place limits its stimulation and what it can use to expand and explore itself. So this month is where ego deaths and spiritual deaths and emotional deaths are not only possible, but imperative, because we're needing to ask ourselves what needs to die so that something more true can live. And this energy is like a compost pile. This is collective energy that is also affecting your frequency, but it's actually the vibration of what we are all experiencing together. And right now we're watching systems built on greed, exploitation, and power hoarding fall apart in real time. We're watching state violence escalate, human rights erode, economic collapse accelerate, climate devastation intensify, political cruelty become law. A lot of us are wanting to tune out because we are so sensitive and we see this insanity for what it is, and we can't hold much more of it. But that pressure cooker feeling like we're about to pop is actually a sign that we cannot continue to function this way. And what cannot be will not be. Beneath the chaos that we're seeing, we're watching the lie of normal die. The illusion that we could ever go back to what was is gone. And honestly, that's good because it was never right. And the people who want to, quote, make America great again are also living a delusion because it was never great either. And to just get personal for a second, I myself thought that democracy was much more solid than it evidently was. Checks and balances were nailed into me from middle school onward. I thought that our systems were both solid and resilient, but nothing built on a rotten foundation can stand strong. And we knew that these systems were corrupted, but I didn't assume them to be so fragile, as I know some or many of you didn't either. And it turns out that it was crumbling underneath the facade of unity and justice for all. And we are seeing that in action here in the United States and the reverberation of that impact abroad. So this month asks, How do we grieve the fantasy of going back to when things seemed good and build something better instead, something stronger, something with a true and a real foundation beneath it that we can really stand on and that will hold the immensity of the true unity and true justice and true freedom that we are trying to build? And on a more individual level, how do we find purpose in a world that feels like it's falling apart? How do we find what is sacred when nothing feels certain? This is the crossroads and the crumbling where we, the conscious, the awakened, the compassionate, get to decide what rises next. And there's something beautiful that you may not know, which is September is always the peak month of your personal year in numerology. So that means whatever personal year you're in, this month holds the most potent, defining energy of that process. It's like standing at the top of a mountain and seeing your entire journey from a higher vantage point. This is your moment of insight, of accumulation and clarity. And this is your breakthrough where things click into place and make sense. And we get clarity by getting honest with ourselves about what needs to end in order to make room for the deeper truth. And if you want to understand what that means for you specifically and what personal portal you are walking through individually, make sure you're signed up for my newsletter and following me on Instagram for this month's personal numerology horoscopes. That's where I share them. And we'll make sure to link all of that in the show notes just in case you need it. But in the meantime, do me and do yourself a favor and just be willing to grieve. Be willing to let go, to be plain and honest about what is over. And you are allowed to grow out of anything that no longer reflects the truth of who you are. Give yourself that permission to outgrow anything, even if you think it is serving you, even if you think you need it, even if you think that the attachment you feel to it is necessary, grant yourself permission to truly let go. And we're going to be doing that together. So I'm right there with you.